You are listening to the Built to Grow podcast.
All right, welcome back to the Built to Grow podcast. I'm your host, Tim Lyons, joined in sunny Scottsdale with Randy Angston. Hey, guy.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, man.
Another day,
another podcast, another knowledge bomb for everybody.
See, I wore camouflage.
You blend into the background.
For those following on YouTube,
Yeah,
I'm
by
a
the way,
floating head.
Go subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Yeah, I don't care if you don't watch them, but give us some love. No.
Go subscribe there. It's so weird that YouTube's such a different animal. We just don't have the time to go dive into the SEO on that. But you know what? That's our next project, so that's what we'll do. A couple cool things coming up. Our CLA workshop for your automation needs, all handled on August 6th and 7th. You're going to want to go to, what's the URL?
winninggym.com/workshop.
Yeah, I wouldn't remember that one.
That's part of our job.
No, Winning Gym.
winninggym.com.
And also, we have our Growth Summit. We're deep in the weeds on that. That's going to be an amazing event. That's September 21st, 22nd, and 23rd, 3-day event. You're going to go to pfmarketingsolutions.com/summit. We'll put those in the show notes if you have questions or you want to go check out those two events. We got those coming up. But today's show is we're continuing with the trend of semi-private training. If you go back into our previous episodes, we talked about the need for it, the financial model around it. We talked about how to make the experience, as good or better than private training. This episode, we're going to go into the staffing around how to put this in place.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah.
I had to almost sneeze.
Yeah.
So the staffing isn't hard to do in this. So, let's think about some of the roles that we have here and what we've had in the past, and as we grow and scale different ways, what that might look like. Here, probably the most important role in any training gym, semi-private training gym, or any training gym is that fitness director. We call it the fitness director. There's other, gym manager. You can call it whatever you want. But for fitness director, for us, he is the man in charge. That's our Zach. Zach's our fitness director here, and he's basically acts as the owner, more or less. He thinks like the owner. He acts like the owner. He's just not the owner. He does everything that needs to get done. But one of his main roles is the sales process, the consultation process. Now, I've seen models where there is a fitness director, but then there's a sales team.
Role. Mm-hmm.
And for your particular situation, and again, a little plug for our private client coaching, we've got the different organizational structures as you grow and grow and grow, and then scale to multiple locations. We've got that built out, so we don't know where you're at on that kind of timeline.
Yeah, it's kind of a difficult topic to give you here's the answer.
Yeah.
We're going to have to talk a little hypotheticals.
Yeah, hypothetical and generalities. But the fitness director for us is the go-to person. That's the person that all the clients go to for anything. So, hey, I'm struggling with my nutrition. They go to the fitness director. I've got a referral that I want to bring with me. Talk to the fitness director. I need to change my membership. Talk to the fitness director. He does the follow-up calls on the leads. He does the consultations. If somebody doesn't close, he's following up with them over the long term. He does renewals. Pretty much acts as the owner. And for those of you that don't have this role in place and you're still in the weeds as a business owner, good news, Zach has a book coming out called Directing Fitness. I just saw some of the cover designs the other day that are really good. So Zach's going to be coming onto the ProFit team to do coaching for fitness directors.
Beautiful.
He's already working with one gym up in Toronto, working with that fitness director, and really the goal behind having a fitness director is that the owner, the gym owner, can finally remove themselves from the operation. If you don't have that person in place, guess what? Somebody's got to do the job.
Yeah, absolutely.
The work's not going to change, but who does it can change. And so Zach, we'll be bringing Zach in to talk more about that fitness director role deeper. But that's the kind of the core of the operation. Now, below that, you can have several roles below that. For us in the past, we had a program director. For us, that was Mike. But Mike would do the program design, both internal and external. And what we blanketed program design not just the workouts, but also any programs in the gym. And if we're going to do a promotion, or if we're going to do a theme, or if we're going to do anything to do with like an event
or internal challenges,
challenges. That was always our program director, and really the way we they were both directors, but one was a fitness director and technically the boss, and the other one was the program director. The line in the sand was the fitness director managed people and the program director managed systems. That's how we made the difference.
Mm-hmm.
Fitness director was managing the team as well as the people, and Mike was doing our program design, promotions. Stuff.
Yeah, he ran like the Candyland challenge and like the
super cool.
Yeah,
clients.
Well, and they go hand in hand too. If you're going to gamify some of that stuff, I mean, the programming works along, into it. Mm-hmm. Smart.
And if and that's a key here, because if without a program director, that's going to fall under maybe the coach or maybe the fitness director. That again, the work
has to be done.
The job functions don't change in an organization; just the roles of who does those functions can. So that would be kind of another position. Another, obviously, then you got your training team. The training team, they facilitate the workouts. What they do, obviously, they've got the program coming from the program director or your fitness director, and they go and facilitate the workouts. And what this does, and we mentioned it on the prior show, what this does by taking the programming away from the trainer, the fitness coach doing the workouts, it does a couple things. It allows you to bring in a newer coach that doesn't need to know programming. They just need to know how to facilitate the program and have a great experience. Also, you don't have to pay them as much because their role is to come in and do the thing on the paper. Like, let me not to discredit any fitness trainer out there, but versus a veteran master trainer that has program design and they're going to do all this stuff and outreach and sales and all this. No, in the training model that we run, our coaches need to be coaches.
Yeah,
coaches. I mean, yes, that will drift into accountability and drift into follow up with clients if they don't show up and all that kind of stuff, but their goal and their only focus is to make an amazing training experience happen and don't hurt anybody.
Well, yeah, in the cues, obviously that's an important part.
Don't hurt anybody. And so when you break these functions, again, the job functions of the gym, you need somebody to do sales, you need somebody to do programming, you need somebody to do training, versus having a trainer do all of those things. It really allows you to focus on what they do best.
Yes.
And typically I've found trainers aren't real good salespeople.
Well, I was going to say, not only what they do best, but maybe what they don't do very well, right? Or just where they're naturally not as comfortable, and that's exactly what you're
typically sales.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're going to find that unicorn. And here's a pro tip for any of the gym owners that are listening, that you feel like you need somebody to do this fitness director role in your facility. Is when you find a trainer that's great on the fitness floor and understands fitness, but can also sell and is not afraid of money. That's a unicorn.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta capture the unicorn. You gotta study it, but you gotta put that's your go-to person. And typically it's harder to find, but when you do, it's great. Zach, he was a great coach, but he also understood business. He wasn't great at sales at the beginning,
sure,
but he wasn't afraid of sales, and that's the thing. He wasn't anti-sales or like
he wasn't resistant around it. Yeah,
around
sure.
Sales. Some coaches are. So those are you can get away with two of the three. When you're really humming, you'd have all three of those positions: fitness director, program director, and fitness coaches. And then the coaches, this is a question that comes up quite a bit. In a training model, and a semi-private training model, how many coaches do you need? In the rule of thumb, and I've heard as high as 100 clients per coach, but I like it more around 70 to 80 clients per coach. So if you have 160 clients, that's a 2-coach operation.
Sure.
If you've got 300, or it could be, if you have 200 clients, that might be 2 full-time and a part-time, something like that. So you just got to do the math. But we found between 70 and 80 clients per coach is we can fill up our schedule, and we're not we have enough availability. And then when you go to 6 clients per coach, then it could go to over 100.
Sure.
Per. So just depends. Again, you got to look at your model, and then you also got to look at your staffing plan, hours, your schedule.
Sure.
The schedule on this is key. So we're really we really thought this through with the way we pay our coaches and the hours that they have. In the industry, typically and historically, trainers would come in and train a couple clients early morning, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, go home for the middle of the day. They come back at maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 at night, and they've got this what's called a split shift. Well, you ever wonder why personal trainers last 1 year on average in this industry? It's because of this. Like, how can you possibly have a life from 5 a.m. Until 8 at night, and you got this weird break in the middle? The younger trainers will say, I love that. I can get some work done. I got the middle of the day
flexibility
for myself,
of it,
and then I come back in the afternoon. They say that in the beginning, but you do that for a year or 2 years, you're pretty much that's it.
Well, I mean, like right off the bat, you have almost no social life during the week. The only time that you're not at work yourself is when everybody else is at work.
Workers, yeah, right.
So, and again, early in a career or early in when you're trying to make a name for yourself, it makes a lot of sense, right? You have to put in the reps, but it is hard to sustain.
Yeah.
And I think that you guys nailed it, kind of from almost like a beginning of a career type, model.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is much better opportunity.
Yeah. And the way we do it is we basically have a morning and a night shift, morning afternoon shift. So we have 5 a.m. till noon, and then we have 1 p.m. until 8 p.m. And in the middle of the day where they overlap, twice a week we have meetings. So when everybody's here at 12 o'clock on a Tuesday or Thursday, we'll do team meeting, or we'll do a fitness director, a trainers only meeting. Or they'll do podcasts. They have their own podcast too. They love it. They love the podcast. And you know what, guys? If you're not doing a podcast from the gym level to give out fitness, nutrition tips, go do it. Just do it. It's we're getting clients on a regular basis now.
Yeah.
And they don't have a huge listenership, subscriber base, like versus the Built to Grow podcast. It's probably we're probably 10x what the gym is, but the gym's audience is just in this area. Like, let's talk about it. Like, it's a local business.
It's a local business, yeah.
And it takes, I think they're probably on episode 25, 30, somewhere in there. We didn't see anything until episode 30. Like, we didn't get any feedback, response, nothing. We were like, whoa.
Is this working?
Is this working? But we knew we were going to give it a straight year of twice a week, every week for a year. We knew that going in. And you know what? After episode 30, 35, as soon as we hit 50 was like a massive hit. It was about the 6-week challenge. Everything's taken off from there as far as the podcast goes. But you just do it. And so they have their Thursdays, they do the podcast. And so it's just a lot of fun. I mean, we got a team aspect. The way, again, we spoke about it in the prior episode, we have a team approach here, so every client can train with any coach. And again, it's the coach. The clients are all about the schedule and not the coach. And it's just no one client owns not one coach owns the group of clients.
Correct.
It's a team effort.
Do you guys still talk about? I know that in the past we've talked about incentivizing them based upon capacity and fulfillment.
Yeah.
So
we do that quarterly.
Yeah.
That's out the window right now. There's no way.
Of course,
capacity, but. Yeah, and so
because I want to touch on that because it creates I don't want to say a competition, but it incentivizes your trainers to bring their best foot forward, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
We'll speak to that because we were having a problem a couple years back where one coach might have been a better coach, and the clients kind of gravitated to that, and so maybe we had two coaches on the floor at 6, 7, 8, 9, but one coach was always at capacity and the other one wasn't. And was it really fair that they were making the same that hour when one coach is training 5 or 4 and the other one's training 1 or 2? It really didn't. Mm-hmm. And so we were like, well, wait a minute. How do we incentivize or have them not hate having a bunch of people with them if they're making the same per hour? And so that's when Zach came up with this genius capacity bonus.
Yeah.
And we said, 70, 80, 90% at each one of these tiers of their capacity. So let's just say they had, for round numbers, they had 100 sessions in a quarter. Of course, it's not, but let's just say 100 sessions in a quarter. If they had 70 people booked and checked out, they would hit a capacity of 70%. And then they would get an additional,
quarterly,
50 cents or $1 per session trained for the entire quarter.
Very cool.
So if they had 500 sessions, that's 500 extra bucks, or if 1,000 sessions, an extra $1,000. And then it would go to, higher. If they were at 80%, they would get in a higher tier. And that was really like the turning point where like, wow, well, you know what? I just don't get it right now, but I'm going to get this capacity bonus at one-time check. And they like that. We hand it out in the meeting at the end of the quarter. Here you go. Okay. Everybody claps and shit. So and that's great for us for the gym level. It's like retention's higher because they want that client back in with them.
Yeah, and that's what I mean by, it almost creates, it's a competitiveness, but it's not like a you versus me. You know what I mean? Because ideally, the trainer that's going to get the capacity is the one that's just presenting their best foot forward, is executing the greatest client experience, right? Mm-hmm. And just the clients will naturally want to gravitate towards those that they align with. But the programming, the training, the actual workout, all of that's still handled by the facility, which is, like we talked about, is crucial. And so it really just, it's like one of those ways of getting that invested interest that we want in an employee, of allowing them kind of almost a performance-based pay, but just really in a way that's not, the sales aspect. It's not, hey, I have to go behind somebody's back and start poaching clients from somebody else on the team, because it doesn't work that way. It's got to be a consistency thing.
Yep.
And from everything that we've talked about through the small group model, I think that's got a big part of it.
It's interesting. We do these things and we come up with solutions. And
semi-private model. Sorry.
Yeah. It's funny. We do these things and, not to toot our own horn, but having Zach in that chair and really focus on the business side of it, it's like, man, we do a lot of stuff right here that we just kind of do and don't think twice about. Like just having the block scheduling, that's a novel concept for a lot of gyms. Like, what do you mean? I only pay them when they're training. They don't have any training. No, we pay our coaches on a block. They get the same amount from 5 a.m. until noon, and it doesn't matter what they're doing.
And that right there for our listeners. With all of the calls I take, so many conversations are, well, how do you pay your trainers? Well, are you paying them per head for who they're training? Are you what about when they're not training somebody and they're doing, supplementary work like program design or cleaning? Yeah, exactly. Are they now getting a cleaning fee instead of a training fee? No, guys, there's a team member on your team.
Yeah.
They're all responsibilities of a job.
Yeah.
If instead of okay, it's now a retail business, right? Are you paying that person one wage when they're on the floor working with a client versus stocking the stock room? Well, no, not if it's that same individual who's paid for one job. It's all aspects of their job. And I think the fitness industry has this weird thing where we think that the time a trainer is on the floor is the most valuable aspect of the day, and then everything else they should do behind.
Well, there's a lot of reasons people go to that other, only want to pay them when they're training clients because that's technically the only time they're making money.
They feel the value of.
But
sure.
when you take care of your coaches by saying, I'm going to pay you from 5 a.m. to noon every day. You've got a shift and you're going to clock in, clock out. We don't even clock out in anymore.
Yeah.
It's the same schedule every day. When we tell them that we're going to pay you the same amount no matter what you're doing, and if you're not training a client, that's on us. If there's nobody in that slot because we don't have enough clients, we're going to pay you. You're here. You can work out, but only when your list of other million things are done. We'll let them work out on the clock.
Sure.
That doesn't bother me because it's part of the business. But we've got follow-up calls. We've got handwritten cards we do. We've got program cards, coaches card updates. We've got all these things that they have to do that's just built into their day.
Mm-hmm.
And in Arizona, of all states, we see a massive dip in the summertime with our clients leaving town. Granted, we're in this kind of weird situation with the COVID, right? But, typically we see a 30% drop. Now, normally, those coaches are struggling in the summer because their clients are all gone. Not here. We take care of them from, 365 days a year, 12 months a year. They're going to get that salary no matter what. Yes, we see a dip and we lose revenue, but you know what? We want them to be on the team in the long term. We're just going to make sure that they're taken care of throughout, and it's up to us it's up to Zach and our marketing that we do to get clients filled up. That puts the pressure on the business, but you're going to retain the coach a little bit longer.
Absolutely. And that isn't one of the responsibilities of their job, right? If marketing was, well, then sure, then their pay might be dictated by the amount of people that are in front of that individual. It's an aspect of the responsibilities. But in this situation, in this model, the marketing and the clientele, who they're training is handled by the business. And therefore, it's not their, it makes sense, like you were saying, it's not really their problem if they have 2 or 3 people that the gym just can't, as a business hasn't filled a schedule yet.
Yeah.
There's ways that they can, right? Like we talked about, their capacity. I mean, they could absolutely, ask for referrals and do, the groundwork to get more clientele on their schedule, but it's not solely their responsibility, and therefore their pay isn't fluctuate with that as well.
Yeah, it's tough. Would I love for the coaches to bring in clients all the time? Yes, I would love it. Are they forced to? It's even part of their job? No, because I don't think they're going to be good at it.
And you said it earlier, you want them focused on coaching.
Yeah.
Like as a primary focus, like there's aspects of being a coach that every other little thing that they can do can pull away from that quality of,
true.
How many times is a coach and somebody, when you were talking like the type of personality that is that coach, when you have that sales pressure or responsibility or aspect, the desperation can set in, and then exactly. Like I would want them working on the number one thing that they bring to the table, the best. That's their focus.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's the way that you've structured that is, okay, their responsibility is the client experience. Let's make sure that is where their spotlight is. I don't want them having to worry about, let's shut this session down early because I need to go upsell, the person that's leaving, or my focus is now somewhere else as opposed to the people that are in front of me for that hour.
But because we're a team, the coaches will then bring them and walk them up to the fitness director, and the fitness director handles it from there.
And it's, again, that pass off, that transfer, that. Yep. But again, back to the work has to be done by somebody. It's just who on the bus is doing that work.
So that's how we set our model up. Take that for what it's worth and do whatever you want. But obviously, if you've got 500 clients, you might have 2 types of directors, maybe a morning and an afternoon. If you have like more than that, it could be multiple locations. You could have, gym managers. There's a million ways to staff the model. But for us, this makes a lot of sense. And as we grow, and we're going to see some kick-ass stuff coming up here soon, it'll be different.
Yep.
But for those of you listening that are like, hey, how do I staff this? This question did come up. There's your answer. And if you need more help, guys, if this is like foreign languages to you, and the other thing is, call us, or book a call. But within those roles, we have job descriptions that are very granular to that role that you need to have in place. And we do that, right on the onboarding process, and they know it from day one.
I had a conversation with the client that Zach was working with, our Toronto buddy, who's part of our coaching program, or Iron Circle.
Yeah.
And we were elaborating on the conversation he had with Zach, and we were talking about somebody in his team, and I was asking the roles and responsibilities of that individual, and there was a lot of confusion and question from the owner of the gym. And I was like, well, you're trying to hold him accountable for all of these tasks. Does he even know that these are the responsibilities that he's is part of his job? And he goes, I guess not clearly enough. And I said, well, that's good. Yeah, exactly. I go. And the reason I like our job descriptions in our coaching program, and we almost like, I don't want to say force, but like when you come on board, like that, it's a requirement for you to do that and build them for yourself, is because businesses and systems don't happen. It's not what's in your head as an owner. It's what's on paper. It's what your team can refer to. It's when you remove yourself from the situation and somebody else needs to go hire somebody for that position, what do they do? What do they grab? What do they, what role are they filling? If that's not written in some form of asset, it's not an asset. And
the chance, and then you lose the quality.
Well, yeah, exactly. And in the game of telephone, we kind of had a conversation about that, and training then comes into play, right? So if this person's now unclear about their roles and responsibilities, what happens when they've got to train the next person in line, right? That trickle down effect, and then the business doesn't control any of that standard.
Yeah.
And so.
Yeah, well, what I would tell you guys, if you're in that situation, you're kind of like, it's just reset. You can reset anytime.
Yeah.
You can say, guys, I've written you new job descriptions. We're going to have meetings, and you just go over it again. It doesn't have to be day one. You could, like, if you've messed this up and you're already in business, Good news, you can redo it at any time. There's no rule on that. Like, you can go and just like, here's what we're doing, and this is why, and this is your role. Are we clear? Let's sign off an agreement and you reestablish
exactly how we left the call with the client
did?
yesterday. Yeah, so that's he's realigning. He's going to have start with him, and then the team meetings and everything that's going to follow, and it's
fixable.
absolutely.
It's all fixable,
But if you take action, if you do something,
yeah.
because that's the biggest thing is everyone's got these great intentions. And then they show up for work tomorrow, and they're like, well, what am I going to do?
Yeah. New fires to put out. So, all right, well, there you guys have it. There's a little staffing for semi-private training. Get on it. Guys, until next show. Change your lives. Bye.